Welcome to the Exact Digital Podcast, the show where we dive into how digital marketing agencies are using paid media to drive real growth for their clients and for themselves. From planning to ROI and everything in between, we uncover the strategies, stories, and systems that set agencies apart. Each episode, we'll talk with agency leaders who are innovating with paid media, scaling their businesses, and delivering results that matter. Whether you're looking to expand your services or sharpen the edge of your current offerings, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Exact Digital Podcast. Each episode features candid conversations with marketing leaders, agency founders, and growth-minded innovators on what's really shaping the future of marketing. Today's guest is Brian Loebig. He is a seasoned digital marketing strategist and founder of Loebig Inc, LLC, where he helps brands and agencies boost their search visibility through expert SEO, web strategy, and personal branding optimization. Welcome to the show, Brian. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about the work you do at Loebig?
Sure. I'm happy to be here. The company focuses on SEO as our primary kind of service. We also do a little paid digital advertising, Google advertising. Local service ads are becoming more important as Google grows and dominates the world of search, continues to dominate.
Yeah.
But we really do, one of the unique kind of things we do is personal branding SEO, which a lot of times is really useful for very small businesses, consultants, coaches who don't have a big website or they don't have a big budget for marketing. And there's some strategic things you can do for free to get yourself more visible on the internet, even if you don't have a website.
Yeah, that's amazing. You had mentioned, doing the personal branding SEO, and I think that's so interesting. Can you explain why that's becoming more important, especially in the world of AI and tools like ChatGPT?
It's the one thing that people really can have personal control over is your own personal brand. Even if you're involved with a larger organization, we really encourage those companies to have their key staff get stronger personal brands, because the stronger their personal brand is, the stronger visibility it is for the organization. And so in the world of AI and Chat GPT, there's some strategic things you can do to become visible on those platforms. And a person's individual personal brand is really even more important in the world of the algorithms. Like, it's looking for that expertise, the authority that an individual has. Like when a blog is written, Google wants to know who wrote the blog, who is the person
Yeah.
behind the business. It doesn't have to be the founder, but it could be like a staff person that has some expertise and authority and trustworthiness. And so those even the AI platforms, if you do a good job of getting yourself visible online, it can start increasing your own personal brand, which will benefit your business or any business you work for.
Yeah. No, that's that's so well, you mentioned also, someone like a Gary V. And so someone who's listening right now and isn't, say, a Gary V, are there any practical low-cost ways that you typically recommend if
Well,
someone's just kind of starting out with that?
absolutely. So you start with what you have control over first, is with your own social media. And
Mhm.
so look at, Facebook. Facebook is the platform that Bing uses to determine, your visibility. They pull in reviews from Facebook. Bing is like the competitor to Google from a search perspective. So Google has its own review system. Bing actually uses Facebook reviews and Yelp
Interesting.
reviews to populate that ecosystem. And so get some control around your own social media. If you don't have some of those key social media and you want to try to you want a stronger personal brand, then get on those platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X as they call it now.
Right, right.
Even platforms like meetup.com. Meetup.com has a very strong personal branded algorithm. So I see a lot of people that are active in meetups. They'll have a little personal profile, and they'll, go and maybe host an event, or even if they're just attending an event, It's a missed opportunity if you don't fully optimize that personal profile on that platform, which is free, right? You can add your headshot, you can add a description of who you are, you can add a link to your website. That's a backlink that goes from meetup.com, high authority on the internet, to your own website. And again, even if you don't have a personal, even if you don't have like a loebiging.com, like a professional website, you can have a free website like about.me. That's a personal branded profile, which is kind of positioned as a personal branding platform. It's like a one-page bio of who you are. And about.me has a very strong authority because it's, global, and you can create that for free. You can connect it to a domain name if you want to, like brianloebig.com. I could connect that to my about.me profile if I wanted to, but just having that profile in there in and of itself creates some great visibility. It's one of the strategies we use when we're doing like reputation management. Actually, if you've got some negative press about you online, one of the ways to get better press is to find those high authority websites that are based on your name, and then build out those profiles like about.me. Even Pinterest is a strong, personal branded
Yeah,
profile. And then those will start rising above the negative press.
that's so interesting. So I'm going to jump back for a second because we had the chance to connect earlier. Your background isn't traditional agency path per se. And so I'd love for you to share like how your early career in nonprofit and data management shaped the way you run your digital marketing business
Well,
today.
you took good notes on our first conversation.
I did.
So I started off as a substance abuse counselor, actually. My first job out of college, I graduated from Marquette University, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I had a counseling psychology, undergrad degree. My first job out of college is working at a women's halfway house, like a corrections halfway house, like as a night monitor. I was the
Okay.
first male actually in that facility, which is kind of probably dangerous.
Great.
An all women's facility. But that's when I kind of love for corrections and substance abuse treatment. And so I did that that was my first life. That was like my first life. I feel like I have a
Mhm.
second life with this digital management, organization. I've always been, when the internet came around and when Al Gore created the internet, back in the 90s.
Way back.
um, I really took to it. I learned HTML. I went back and got my master's degree from Marquette in kind of
Nice.
information systems and nonprofit management because it was an executive MBA. And so I've always been interested in the internet. I learned HTML in one of my graduate classes. And I even built Marquette University's first executive MBA website as a class project. Class of 1997 was the first inaugural class of the EMBA program. I still have classmates that I'm friends with from that. And that kind of took me on my journey of doing web design. I kind of always did it as a side project, or the nonprofits I was involved with. I worked for some statewide nonprofits from Wisconsin to Virginia to Philadelphia. I was always in charge of building the website or overseeing the data management department because that was my background in college. And then that kind of eventually segued into me, starting my own business around 2010.
That's awesome. I mean, I love it. I love how our journeys play a part in where we are today, right? And how that all shapes different experiences you have and what you bring to the table. You also mentioned, you specialize heavily in white label SEO for other agencies. What makes that model work so well for you, and what do agencies often underestimate, especially about SEO when they try to do it in house?
Great questions. That's a couple questions.
Yeah.
The white label What works well with white labels, you have to have really high trust with the organizations you work with. They really have to trust you because you're having direct access, admin access to their client websites, right? And to their biggest and most important clients a lot of times. So that you have to have a high degree of trustworthiness as a white label partner in SEO and even web design, because in order to keep that white label partnership, I'm really acting as a member of their staff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the white label we do is it's kind of like I call it a transparent white label, meaning I'll show up in meetings with my client's client, and I'll have I'll turn my logo around to show my Harley Davidson logo instead of my Loebig Inc.
Yeah.
But eventually, if I'm working with them for years, they'll know that I'm part of another organization. A lot of times that'll become that'll become known, so it's kind of transparent that I do work for this other organization as their white label provider. And what can happen, the reason trust is so important is sometimes when clients of clients know that, they'll kind of go around them and come to me and say, "Hey, I know that you do the SEO for so and so." Because if they learn my name, Brian Loebig, I have a good personal brand, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the only Brian Loebig you're gonna find on, there's one other Brian Loebig in California, but he doesn't do anything related to what I do. I'm gonna be page one, number one across the universe. And so
Right.
they're gonna find me. And a couple of them have come to me and say, "Hey, I'd really like you to do this. I know you really do the SEO for this organization. I'd really like you to do that." And so it'd be very easy for me to say, sure. And they cancel the contract, and then I damage my relationship with that white label partner. I will never do that. I immediately go to my white label partner and say, "Hey, your client came to me and asked me to do this, and I will terminate that. I will be very transparent. I'll terminate that service. I would reject that, hands down. That it'd be like trading one client for a gold. It'd be like trading a golden egg for a golden goose. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and trust is so important. You mentioned transparency and that like you have these relationships because your clients trust you and if you did go behind them that makes no sense. It makes no sense cuz yeah, you have more opportunity anyways with your agency partners. So you mentioned as well, and I thought this was interesting, that you guys don't take on every client, that you work with businesses where you can really see results quickly. How do you evaluate whether someone's SEO will actually move the needle for a potential client?
if you've been doing SEO as long as I've been doing it, since before Google, was created,
Right.
um, you get a good understanding of what it takes to move that dial. And so we know good SEO companies will know if they can have an impact within a short period of time. There's a lot of times there's a low hanging fruit on a
Mm.
website, like they don't have any meta tags built out, or they don't have a Google business profile, or there's like some things. One of the common things we find a lot is that after, especially with new websites, they get built and then the web designer forgets to turn off the no index functionality in WordPress, or the do not index. And so it's like, yeah, we're going to get results within like 24 hours because you have to turn off that no index thing so Google can actually index your website. I would tell them that just for free. I
Right,
wouldn't charge
right.
them for that. But there's some low hanging fruit things you can do, and so we know like literally what it takes. Like I can evaluate a website in 30 minutes and tell if we're going to be able to have an impact in 30 days. And so if I don't think we can have an impact in 30 days, if it's already a pretty good foundation, like they got all the meta descriptions, they did some basic SEO, they've got the alt tags in there, it's authenticated with Google Search Console, they've got all and they got a Google business profile that matches the website. If they got the basics in there and they're already ranking for their own name, we don't take it on. We'll say we're not going. We don't think we can move the dial in 30 days. But if you like a longer term approach, we can do some ongoing SEO. Maybe build out city pages, for example. Still a great SEO strategy. If you want to move beyond just your local city and you want to start showing up in your surrounding neighborhoods, there's some ongoing SEO that we can do. We're not we don't offer that in the beginning. We wouldn't necessarily take that up. We don't sign up people for ongoing SEO projects right from the beginning. It's something that's unusual that we do is we don't assume we're going to go into an ongoing SEO relationship. Like we'll just do an initial optimization, where we know we can get results in 30 days. At the end of 30 days, we're going to have a ton of data about where they were before we started, where they were 30 days after we did our stuff, and then what they need. Then we'll have data to say this is what you need to do to keep the dial moving. And so that's when we have a conversation of, do you want to be more aggressive and do you want to rank in other cities? and we'll have some, we can kind of do that as a partnership. We can say if they have internal staff that can do some of that, we can just coach them. If they want us to do some of it, they want to do some other parts, we're kind of flexible at that point. We could just send them monthly reports and say, this is what your rankings are. We could just send ranking reports plus recommendations, and they can do it all in-house. We're kind of very flexible after that. Sometimes we have one client now that we just finished an SEO report for. All the top keywords that we identified for the website are now on page 1 of Google, all of them. So it's like, you don't need to do anything else. Seriously. Like, you're on page 1 of Google, and there's top search terms for your competitors. Really don't need to, if you're, that was your goal has succeeded. You know what I mean? You don't have to do ongoing SEO. I'd recommend monitoring it over the next few months, but, you don't have to, sign up for this ongoing into perpetuity SEO plan when your main goal has been achieved.
Yeah. When you had also mentioned that you guys you don't require long-term contracts, that whole 30-day thing, and that you operate on a month-to-month, and being able to deliver the analytics. I think that's pretty fascinating, actually. um, a large percentage of your revenue comes from relationship-driven referrals. So, what role has networking specifically? You mentioned BNI.
Yes.
How's that played in scaling your business?
So it's BNI.com, the largest professional networking group on the planet. That's really what helped grow my business to where it is today. Like, I didn't even know about it until like 2 years after I started this company. I learned about it and invited myself to the closest little chapter near me here in Washington, D.C. area. And when I visited that group, it's an exclusive network. It's like one person per profession. It's like one web designer. There's one Google Ads person. There's one residential realtor. There's one plumber. There's one of everything, ideally.
Yeah.
And so I was new to the area. And so when I visited that group, it was so welcoming. In the process, the meeting process is really productive. Like, one of the key things in the meeting, at the end of the meeting, they do what's called referrals, testimonials and referrals, where they kind of go around the group and they say, everybody says what kind of referral they have to somebody, or if they don't have a referral, they give a testimonial. And so with the group at that time, the group was like 35 members, and I saw all these, and literally they had these little slips of paper where they wrote down the referrals, and they're passing referrals to each other right in the meeting. Like, I have a referral for you this week. I have one for you. Then somebody would say, thank you for the referral you gave me last week. It was worth $5,000. It was incredible. I was like, I need to put my application in today. And so I've been a member of that group now for 14 years.
Wow.
And it's grown over time. I doubled my revenue for the first 4 years in that group every year for the first 4 years. I went from a $35,000 a year company to $70,000 to $140 to $280, and now I'm over $1 million, close to $1 million a year in revenue, and 75% of my gross revenue comes from referrals from that group. And the beautiful thing about referrals, these aren't like cold calling. It's not like leads. We look down on leads. We don't pass each other leads. We give each other warm, hot referrals. Like, I know somebody that needs, for example, I'll just give you a short example.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
So we have, like, what's called, in our little group, we're actually the largest virtual BNI chapter in the United States. We're like 67, 68 members. And so because our group is larger, we have what's called power teams. And so we have a marketing consulting power team in the group. So it's like 25 people. It's one of each profession. We have a Google Ads guy, social media person. I do the SEO. We have a copywriter. And so we get to know each other so well in these weekly meetings that I literally write my copywriter into my contracts. I know her pricing. I know her strategy. I teach her how to do SEO copywriting, and I'll write Yvonne Turner into my contracts because it's like, I have a new client. They need copyright. I tell them they need to build out the service pages before we can do SEO. And so she'll come in. So I'll write her in the contract, and I'll just tell her, hey, I've got another client for you. And that's a referral. And it's like, it's like a done deal. It's like closed business. And then people do that with me too. So they'll be like, the Google Ads guy is like, hey, I got a new client. I'm doing Google Ads. They need SEO to make the Google Ads work better. Expect a phone call, and they already know your pricing. And here's the referral.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's huge, and that actually leads me to my next question about, you partner closely with paid media teams rather than trying to do everything yourself. So, how do SEO and paid media work together best, in your opinion, and especially like when agencies collaborate instead of trying to compete?
Yep. So the Google Ads guy in my meeting is 360 communications. Dave Rowe. He's been my white label Google ad partner for probably 6 years now. I brought him into this business network, and he's actually now my number one referral giver. And the SEO and Google Ads, if you talk to anybody that does both those things together, will tell you that if you do them well, but they really amplify each other, because part of the Google Ads algorithm is having a high quality score. The high quality score is partly determined on the landing page experience from the Google advertising. And so you want to make sure that those two things are in sync. Like your Google ad is very consistent with what's on your landing page. You want to make sure the website loads fast, it has all the proper metadata, the messaging on the web page matches the ads, and even the branding is important between those two things. And so, which is why we have, you know, web designer in the group and a branding person in the group. And even though my company does all those things, branding, web design, all the
Yeah.
there's it's it's counterintuitive, but we actually find ways to work together. Like I'll bring the web design guy into the process. If one of our mutual clients has a web design need, I'll do the SEO. Dave will do the Google advertising. We bring in Yvonne for the copywriting, and then it's kind of like a little mini agency. Like when we're
Yeah.
starting to work together, and we're able to leverage much bigger clients because we bring all of our resources together.
That's awesome. So, looking ahead, how do you see SEO evolving over the next few years, especially with AI, search behavior changes, the increased emphasis on personal and brand authority? So, like, how do you see it changing or evolving?
It's like the Wild West right now, truly. Like,
Right.
with the way AI is changing, ChatGPT, it's really important for your SEO company to be tuned into to doing experiments themselves, doing their own testing, because we're like finding out things like on a weekly basis, like what works and what doesn't work in any SEO. Let me think of it, if I can think of an example. Like the Google Business Profile itself, for example, the changes that are happening there are so common. One of the best podcasts or websites, research agencies that we follow is White Spark and Sterling Sky. They do digital marketing, but they also do a lot of testing and research themselves. And so you really have to be tied into what's happening, what other people are seeing out there in the wild, because Google is not going to tell you what the algorithms are. There was a
Right.
big leak. There was like a big leak recently of all that data, and so we kind of able to unravel what we found there. But it's really constantly changing. One of the Reddit, for example, is like one of the top search results for so many keywords on the internet now. So there are strategies to leverage, Reddit from an SEO perspective. For example, a lot of people don't know you can create your own business profile on Reddit. You don't have to be just a consumer user. You can actually create a business profile on Reddit, so you can get get that backlink from your Reddit
Right.
profile, and then engaging in those conversations as they make sense can really help your personal brand as well as your business brand. There's some creative techniques and strategies around that. It's really about being human actually and being helpful
Mm.
to people in a real way, instead of just black hat type tricks and strategies. It's really about trying to be as helpful in a real way as possible, like going to where your clients are, where are people seeing and interacting with you, and how can you help people through online.
Yeah. I mean, it all plays together, right? They're all connected. So, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience? Anything we may have missed in our conversation?
um I don't think so. I think we've hit a lot of key points. You asked me a lot more questions than I thought you were going to ask.
Uh, no, that was really good. Well, thank you for joining today. And if you'd like to find out more about Brian and his team at loebiginc.com, You can go to Loe, Big Inc, INK.com, or check him out on LinkedIn. Thank you again to everyone tuning in. This episode is brought to you by Exact Digital, your partner in performance-driven media across programmatic, CTV, paid social search, and more. Let us know how we can help you, and have a great day. Thanks again.